And I'm going to turn it over to Sam Rhodes, who's going to give you some announcements.
Marla, thank you very much. And thanks to everybody for joining us on a Sunday evening. I know that if you're with us, it's because of the concern you have for your business and your employees. And I just want to reiterate our admiration for your dedication to your business and the support that we hope to try to provide from PIDC. We've worked hard to be a trusted advisor at PIDC to Philadelphia's business community. We've done that a number of ways throughout our 60-year history, but in this COVID environment, one of the things that we've tried to do is to match you up with the different resources that exist in the city to help you. And that's meant financial resources. As some of you may know, there was a city level program that PIDC created with the city. There was a state level program that PIDC partnered with the state on. Both of those are oversubscribed and completed. And we're now focused on the federal level program. The SBA has a number of programs. The EIDL, the emergency, oh my goodness, Marla, what is it? The emergency injury program is one, and the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, is another, which is the subject of this evening's webinar. We've also tried to provide a link for behavioral and mental health services. We recognize that this is a stressful time for everybody, and we want to make sure that people are taking time for themselves and for their employees to be aware of how they're reacting to this, and that you're taking care of yourself in addition to the financial resources. One of the things that you'll see is on our web page at pidcphila.com, there is a COVID-19 link. And if you go onto that, because of the volume of the inquiries that we've seen, we've been trying to push everybody to that link. And from there, you'll see the different resources that we can link you to. The most active program right now is the PPP program, and we are extremely fortunate at PIDC to have partnered with Lendistry and Constance Anderson, who is the CEO and president of the Center for Strategic Economic Studies and Institutional Development. We have partnered with them to put on a series of webinars, starting with Friday night when we first heard of the reopening of the PPP program, Saturday night, and again tonight. And so I will not belabor the introduction, but just let's say that with Constance, we are privileged, and you are privileged to be able to have her time and attention. Constance has a 20-year plus career in banking and has worked for many, many years as a small business development center. Lendistry, like PIDC, was dedicated to providing economic opportunities and progressive growth for small businesses in underserved communities. They have teamed up with Goldman Sachs to provide capital across the country for the underserved businesses, and specifically have set aside $10 million for the Philadelphia community. Just so you know, we're also trying to link at PIDC, and you'll see this on our webpage, with other banks who are, as I think many of you know, a lot of the challenge of this program is that banks have only been banking those people who are their customers. So we at PIDC have been trying to track banks who are taking non-customers, and we are hoping that our counterpart, the Reinvestment Fund, or Reinvestment Fund RF, also are hoping to make funds available to the Philadelphia business community. So please keep an eye on that as well. So with no further ado, Constance, it is our pleasure to have you back, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sam. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
You're good.
Yes. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I guess we'll start with slide 1. I would say this though, the Triple P program is a program that was designed to support employers to make sure that they have the wherewithal, the funding that's needed in order to support their employees maintaining their jobs, basically. The process could be looked at as a bit laborious. I say that most of the time it's probably the easiest loan program I've seen in my history over a number of years. And what I want to make sure everyone realizes is that we are here to support those businesses so that those businesses can support their employees. So with that, we'll start with the SBA Paycheck Protection Program and the loan application process. Lendistry has a portal that basically, I'm going to go through some of the documentation that you're going to be required to submit. I'm going to highly suggest that you look at the resources on our website at mylendistry.com. Advance, please. The documents needed to apply for a corporation is as follows. Okay, that's not going to work. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. I'm working on 2 laptops now, and the other one is bugging me, and that's not good. The documents needed for a corporation is as follows. Next slide, please. So this document will give you clearly the documentation that's needed in order for you to apply if you're applying as a corporation. We will be looking for a 12-month payroll summary, including wages and state taxes that are paid on behalf of the employee. First quarter 2020 payroll summary. And that summary can be in the form of you asking your accounting department or your payroll organization to provide you with that. We do need to verify the number of people that you have on payroll and what their salaries are. In addition to that, you are able to include in your PPP application group health benefits paid by the company, retirement benefits, vacation, sick days, etc. We're also going to be looking for your 2019 and 2020 940 and 941. You'll notice on the application we mentioned sole proprietors 1099 plus proof of payroll. We have another document that we will go through helping those sole proprietors, independent contractors, people that are paid using a 1099 in a few moments. So if you're a corporation, you're also going to need the Articles of Incorporation, which consist of your bylaws and fictitious business name. Articles of Incorporation, articles, operating agreement, fictitious name, filing statement, and a partnership agreement if you are in a form of a partnership. The SBA application, there's a few applications out there. The application that you should be submitting is the SBA Form 2483, Addendum A and B if needed. Additional owners that own more than 20% or 20% and over are also going to be required to complete that certification document. Last year's business tax return, we talked about that. Can we move this up a little bit? Okay. All right, we went through that. That's fine. We can go to the next slide. Documents needed to apply for sole proprietors. Next slide. So the Paycheck Protection Program does include sole proprietors, independent contractors in the PPP program. The documents that are required are a little different from a corporation. The 2019 1040 with the Schedule C. And the Schedule C is what we're asking for in lieu of the 2019 tax returns. So the Schedule C gives us clearly what your expenses were for 2019. And we will compare those 2019 2019 expenses with the 2018 expenses, which were filed in your 2018 tax returns. In addition to that, we would also be requesting your 1040 with your Schedule C for 2019. Your Form 941 is also required, or a document that clearly helps us to understand who the employees were during the 2019 year. Your state quarterly wages for unemployment, which is another form that would be required. Documentation supporting retirement. So if you're paying retirement on behalf of your employees, that is also an expense that you could include in the Payroll Protection Program. Let's see. We talked about, a photo identification. We will need a front and back copy of your photo ID in order to submit your application. Advance, please.
Constance, we have a question from David Bradley.
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, I'm just wondering, first of all, thank you for hosting this, but wondering if you're accepting applications from independent contractors. So if your business is solely yourself working on 1099s, should you fill out everything that you're recommending for a sole proprietor? Is that how this would work?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then just check on the PPP application that it's an independent contractor as opposed to sole proprietor, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Was there another question? On our web.
Yes,
Oh,
we
there
have a question from Broderick.
Please go ahead.
Broderick, you might have to unmute on your end too.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a sole proprietor and I use site developers out of India. Do they count towards my PPP?
They do not. The employees that are eligible to be included in the PPP program must be living and working in the United States. They must be employees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we have a question from Aaron.
Okay.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I actually have a business where obviously I'm a sole proprietor. I have no employees, but I did have a situation where I obviously had a family member that did my taxes for a little while, which was cool. But as of 2018 and 2019, the taxes were not filed. I was not informed of that. They were telling me it was filed. It wasn't filed. So now when I go through this process, would bank statements be able to be applicable to this situation? Would I be able to show that? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Your bank statements would be used in addition to your tax returns. You are definitely going to need to file your 2018 tax returns.
Okay. Okay.
You do not have to file your 2019 tax returns, but if you're going to be talking to someone about getting your taxes done, you will need to complete a Schedule C for 2019, not the entire tax return, just a Schedule C.
I would definitely have to file the 2018.
Yeah, definitely the 2018 and the Schedule C
Okay.
for 2019.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, and we have a question from Narashima.
Okay.
That's Nick. That's Nick Shanoy. He's the president of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Nick.
Hi, and how are you? Question is, I have two bank accounts. the money has gone into one account, but the payroll is coming from the different account. Now, is that going to create a problem? Do I have to use the money coming from the SBA?
I'm not sure I quite understand the question. Do you have to use the money that you're getting from the PPP program?
Yeah, it's on a different bank account. My payroll is on a different bank account. I'm going to use the same amount, but the question came.
Oh, I see. What okay. I'm pretty sure that that's not a problem. We haven't been asked that. Apparently, we haven't done that before. So what I can say is that at the time of forgiveness, you're going to be asked to prove how you use those funds.
Sure,
And
that's not a
so
problem. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that is not a problem. Yeah, my question.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I would think that you can explain that away. The
Okay.
bank account shouldn't reference really how you're spending the money, just making sure there's a record that you did spend it on those employees. Because you're going to still need to show your 940, which
and
shows
UC, right?
exactly.
No
Okay.
problem. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, that's it for questions for now.
Okay. All right, so on our website as well, you'll find that there's an SBA PPP loan resource guide that's also available to help you in understanding the documentation that's needed and the importance of completing the documents in its entirety. So next slide, please. Who can apply? So anyone can apply, any small business owner can apply if they have 500 employees or less. Okay, you will be required to complete your NACES code. You should look at these funds as an opportunity to use it as if it was a grant. If you use the funds the way they were designed to be used with the conditions and usage, you should be able to get the loan forgiven. So we can talk a little bit about the forgiveness piece. Funds that are provided to you must be used for payroll protection, and that is employee wages, commissions, tips, retirement, insurance, interest on mortgage, and so forth. Everything that you pay on behalf of your employees, you can use in this program. But the forgiveness piece is when you get ready to ask for forgiveness, you're going to be asked to prove that you used at least 75% of those funds for payroll. And in an instance where you've applied for payroll protection and you've used 75%, more than likely you will be able to get the entire amount forgiven. Okay, next slide. We have a calculation tool on our website as well so that you can get a heads up on how much you can apply for. So what we're going to be looking at is 12 months of your employee wages. We're going to look at an average of 2 months. We're going to multiply those 2 months 2.5 times, and that is the amount that you can apply for. Okay, should I repeat that? Marla, you wanted me to repeat something yesterday, so I can repeat that. You should look at 12 months of payroll, which includes all the things that we mentioned earlier, which is payroll, rent, utilities, and all associated costs in the payroll, like wages, commission, retirement, insurance, and so forth. Take 2 months of that and multiply it 2.5 times. That is the amount that you can apply for. And when it comes to the forgiveness piece, you will need to prove that you have the same number of employees as of February 15th of 2020. Those employees do not have to be the exact same employees, but you will have to have the same number of employees. Okay, next slide.
Constance, we have a question from Carolina.
Sure, go ahead.
Hi there. Thank you for taking my question. It's around the forgiveness amount and how much of the taxes, which types of taxes fall under the category of being forgiven and which do not.
It's payroll taxes, it's state taxes.
Payroll taxes only, okay. Because we've been seeing conflicting information, so that's helpful. And any best practices around how to track that spending?
Say that again?
Any best practice recommendations on how to track that spending? Like a breakdown?
Well, you can use your bank account. You could also do something as simple as completing an Excel spreadsheet. We are going to be looking at the 941 again. So the
Okay.
941 is going to clearly state what you're paying monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's going to also, you get invoices if you're paying retirement or if you're covering insurance and so forth. You can use those invoices to help you to get it forgiven.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's it for now.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Well, we sort of talked about this already as to how much can be forgiven. The SBA expects you to use at minimum 75% of the funds that you're getting and for payroll, and 25% are those other costs like your rent, your utilities, or mortgage interest. Okay, let's see. Remember, there is a payroll calculation document on our site. We do have business advisors that can support you in working through that. We've got a lot of organizations available to help you guys with getting the information and completing the application to the best of your ability. When can you apply? You can apply now. We're still taking applications. We're waiting for the, I'm going to call it infusion of funds, the new infusion of funds to take place, but we are still taking applications presently. And we're taking applications today. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is the first step. Our website is www.mylendistry.com. And you want to click on the SBA PP loan application, and this is the screen that you would see. From here, you want to click on Apply Now. Next slide. And this will just walk you through some of the steps that you're going to be working with in order to upload your application. Let's see, next slide. We try to make sure there's enough information on our site to make sure that you clearly understand the information that's going to be needed. This just goes back to some of the things we talked about earlier, the 940, the 941. The caller asked me about taxes, state income, and unemployment taxes. That will clearly state all of that if you use that document. Let's see. Any copies of payroll for each pay period. Just I would assume that you have certain documentation that will help you in being able to show that these are the costs that you paid on behalf of the employee, and I would keep them so that you're able to ask for forgiveness. Next slide.
Okay, we have a raised hand from Makina Harrison.
Sure.
Oh, hi, good evening. I had actually chatted my question, but thank you for doing this. And my question is, can an employee receive a raise during this time with the funds?
The only stipulation that I saw in the guidelines said that you cannot decrease an employee's salary by more than 25%. So I'm going to assume the answer is you can increase.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll also look into that and make sure I didn't give you bad information, and I'll let Marla and Quinn know if there's any difference answer for that.
All right, moving on to the next slide.
Okay, as a reminder, remember it's really important that you gather the documentation before you start the download process. And you might want to make sure that you've completed the application in its entirety. You've checked off all the boxes, you've initialed everything that needed to be initialed. You've used the payroll calculation document in order to complete and understand clearly what your payroll dollar amount or funding should be. When we talk about sole proprietors, we went through those documents as well. Corporate documents, the SBA application requires a little bit less documents than is required on the corporation, but I'm hoping that the website's going to help you considerably. Next slide.
We have 2 hands raised. One from, oh, one just went down. Okay, we have one up from Ramona.
Go ahead, Ramona.
Good afternoon. I'm a little uncertain about, I did apply for the $10,000 advance. And I was wondering if I still have to fill out an application for an entire loan. I'm a little confused about that.
Are you an employer with less than 500 employees?
Yes.
Okay. So what you applied for, it sounds like, is you applied for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program.
Exactly.
And the advance on that program is $1,000 per employee. So you should be receiving an advance of however number of employees you applied for. And then the SBA is going to figure out what the balance of that loan should be. So the advance is $1,000 per employee. And then there's an opportunity for you to get additional funding under the EIDL loan program.
Nice.
And they'll notify you as to what that is.
Okay, can I ask one more thing? I applied before they shut down the program. So do I have to reapply?
No. The program still exists. What happened is they didn't shut it down. They basically ran out of money. And so we're getting new funding. We're getting additional funding.
Okay.
So everything was closed. The PPP program was, I'd say, paused versus closed, paused, as well as the EIDL loan program. Once the infusion of cash has taken place, those applications that have been approved will be funded first, and then the portal will continue to take applications until everyone is taken care of or we're out of funding again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, advancing slide.
Okay, thank you. This is the application, and you will notice that I mentioned earlier, it's the application number 2483. It is extremely important that every box that applies to your business is checked, signed, initial, whatever is required to be done. We've highlighted some of the areas that seem to be missed most often. So you want to make sure you're looking at that. And this is the way the documents show up on our website to help you in completing it. We can go to the next document.
Okay, we actually have a raised hand from
Sure.
John Armstrong.
Go ahead.
For some reason, I can't unmute John. Okay, John, you have an older version of Zoom, it says, and I can't allow you to talk.
Can you put it in the chat line?
Yeah, John, if you type, oh wait, I think I see his question up here. Okay, his question is, if you have less employees. Can you increase the hours of the remaining employees?
If you have less employees, can you increase the hours of more? You can increase the hours, but keep in mind, by the time you're ready to ask for forgiveness, you must have the same number of employees. There is no exception to that. If you had 10 employees when you applied prior to February 15th, you must still have 10 employees when you ask for forgiveness. And there's no exception to that.
Okay. The next question is from Cudwo.
Hi, thank you for your assistance on this. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. I submitted an application for the economic injury loan, and obviously the funds got exhausted, and it's it's going to be available again soon. Now, I'm wondering whether if I believe that I didn't complete it well enough, right? Because obviously at that time, time was of the essence, and I quickly submitted it. But now in doing research, I realized that there may be some things that I did incorrectly. Can I resubmit the application now?
My understanding on the EIDL loan program is that if it's incomplete and there's time, they will contact you via email and ask you to complete the documents. I wish we had talked to you earlier because I know everyone was rushing through the process, but that completed application is extremely important. So you should, have you received any notification at all that they have your application?
Yeah, I received an acknowledgement when I submitted it, a couple of weeks ago, and I think that was pretty much it.
Well, there is a website that you can go to and check your status.
Really?
It's SBA. It's the same site that you uploaded it on. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not looking at it right now. I can put that in an email and send it out to the group at the end. But I believe it's SBA COVID-19 /EIDL.
Okay.
Or I think if you just go on the site and look for it, it should be pretty user-friendly for you to locate. And you can get the status of your application.
Okay. And this is the same for
Actually, Marla's giving she's giving you the information right there.
Okay. Okay.
There's a telephone number and a site. Thanks, Marla.
Okay. We have a question from Teresa, who's not able to chat on video. She said, she's asking, as S Corp, but only employee, so sole proprietor, which box do I check here, please? Oh, it looks like she rewrote her question.
On there. Yeah, S Corp is on the application.
It looks like she rewrote her question. What is the difference between sole proprietor and independent contractor for this?
For this, there is no difference.
Okay. And the next question is from Ingrid.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. Good evening. I was able to submit an application yesterday, and I've been very pleased with the communication I've received back from the Lendistry folks. It was great compared to my previous week's experiences. So far, so good. When I was allowed into the portal to review my application, I reviewed the application and noticed that there were some things that were blank, and there were some questions that hadn't been asked in the application, but then were on the review sheet, and I didn't have an opportunity, it didn't allow me to edit. Are those things that I'll be able to talk over with an associate when they get in touch with me?
Actually, it would be better if when they get in touch with you, it will be via email. My suggestion is that you respond via email.
Okay.
They'll send you whatever you need. They'll let you know how to go about making those corrections. But just follow the instructions in the email.
Okay, I'm waiting for them to get in touch with me, so I guess I will keep waiting. I was just wondering if there was some opportunity to go in and make those corrections. I just didn't see it possible.
I believe that there is, unless we've made some updates that I'm not aware of right now. Okay. You should be able to you should have gotten a password
Yep, I
should
have
be
that. Yep, I can do all that, and I can mess around with the uploads. Like I've been able to upload additional things, but I can't get back to the original application to update any of the blanks or drop downs or anything like that.
I am not sure.
Okay.
But I'm very sure that if there's something incomplete, we will be reaching back out to you and ask you to fix it.
Okay, great. Because there were just a couple of things that even I filled out and then didn't somehow make it onto the final page. So that's fine to hear, and I'll follow your instruction. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the next one is from Ali.
Go ahead.
Hello. So I have a lot of contractors on my payroll, about more than 50 grand last year. Will I be able to include them in my calculation as a LLC?
Are they 1099?
Yes.
No.
Okay. They won't.
1099s should have and can apply on their own independently.
Okay, even if they don't apply?
No, they must apply. Please convince them to apply.
Okay.
The money's there for them. They should apply on their own. You're not allowed to include that. This is strictly payroll.
Okay.
So they're not employees, they're contractors.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
And quick follow-up. If I convert one to an employee, I would be able to include her maybe?
Not unless you converted her prior to February 15th.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then we will advance to the next slide now.
Okay, this is a certification document that is extremely important. I keep saying extremely important. It's all very, very important. But what we're seeing here is a lot of people are missing the initialing piece. And it's extremely important that you initial every box. Don't leave anything unresponded to, and the signature and the date. And each person that is a 20% owner needs to complete this as well. So whereas you may have only one application, we talked about addendum A and addendum B. If there are other individuals that are owners of the business of 20% or more, they need to complete the certification as well. Next slide. This just gives you even more information about your application. Keep in mind, some of this is very repetitive, and it is just to make sure that we're getting all the information that we need. This gives us contact information on your behalf so that if we need to reach out to you, it's a simple process and it's a faster process. So make sure your email is clear, your phone number, your name, and so forth. Next slide. Same thing, just asking you for information. Or was there a question before I go on? No? Okay. This is additional information that we would need on your behalf. Next slide. Advance, please. Primary owner. This information should look like your corporation documents, your bank statements, and so forth. And just make sure you're completing everything. This is basically, this information is here as a reminder to make sure that all the information is correct and you checked off all the boxes. Someone else asked about U.S. citizens, employees, and so forth. This responds to that question as well. Next slide. This is where you'll be uploading your documents. And we've expanded the portal so that we can take in more documents than we were at the first phase. So you should be able to upload your entire tax returns, your corporation bylaws, the certifications, the application, everything that we need now. The portal has expanded enough for you to be able to upload those documents. Questions?
We have one from Francesca.
Okay.
Hi, Constance, it's Francesca. Actually, I emailed you this afternoon and you got back to me speedily, so thank you for that. I did apply for the PPP when it initially was available. Do I still need to reapply?
No, no, no. If you applied already, did you apply with us?
No, I applied through my bank.
Okay, no, you should never have to reapply, and you want to be careful not to do that. You don't want multiple applications out there. What happened is, I'd like to use the term that the program was paused because of funding. The minute those funds are back in play, your application should continue to move forward.
Okay, great. And one more question. I run my own business, and I am my only employee. I'm on payroll, so I only have one employee, which is me. Does that count as well?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much.
You're going to be asked to prove that you're paying yourself, and we're going to be looking at what you pay yourself over a 12-month period. We're going to take 2 months of that, multiply it 2.5 times. Remember to include rent, utilities, and so forth, and submit your application.
Okay, we have a question from David Bradley.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Hi, thanks for taking my question. I actually had a couple, but my most recent one is prompted by something you just said. I had been told and read that you could apply and maybe even should put an application in through multiple entities because it's not clear who might act on one. For instance, I did put one in through a larger bank on Friday, but I also know that mine is a small application and I don't know that they're going to see it as priority, whereas everything you're saying feels like it might be more of a priority. So is it really true that since I put something in on Friday, I should not submit one with you?
Our application will clearly ask you if you've applied for funding elsewhere. And our response is, if you say that you've applied elsewhere, is to stay with that lender. So my suggestion is that you not apply in multiple locations, because neither one of us will know what the status is of that. They won't know what the status of your application with us is, and we won't know the status of that, the other bank, the bank's application. And what you don't want is for your application to look like maybe you're trying to double dip or you're trying to commit some type of fraud.
Of course.
So
no, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that the advice was get it in with multiples because you don't know who's going to act on it. But I totally understand what you're saying. Another question was, is it possible to apply for an EIDL and the PPP, or is it one or the other?
Absolutely. No, it's both.
It's both. Okay. And the EIDL is reopened. Okay.
Right.
And there's no minimum amount you can apply for PPP, right? I mean,
well, with us, there is a minimum. We're not doing less than 10,000 and no more than 250,000.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next one is from Lydell.
Go ahead.
Lydell, you have to unmute on your end too.
Okay, sorry about that. My question is, we are union contractors, and by the time we go back to work, if some of our employees are employed with someone else, another company, because like I said, we're a union shop, we're allowed to hire other guys in place of them as long as it's the same amount of people for this loan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You're only required to have the same number of employees. And I think what is being considered here is a lot of employees, because of the fact that they are displaced, may decide to find a job elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This next question is from Mark.
Okay.
My question. So I just want to get a little. I just want to get a little clarification. I'm an independent contractor who receives 1099s for a lot of the projects I take on. I am eligible to apply for this?
You are considered either an independent contractor or a sole proprietor, depending on how your name filing is being done. So if you're paid with a 1099, you can certainly apply as long as you have documentation that supports the payroll.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think I'm seeing in the chat box here, Teresa is clarifying her question and she still can't use her speaker. So she wrote, I tried to upload my application during the night to your site and used 1040 divided by 12 multiplied by 2.5 to come up with the figure. Now I'm hearing you take 2 months. Can I change it?
Yeah, it's just 2 months. It's the average payroll over a 12-month period. You take 2 months of what that is. Remember, the PPP program is only supposed to pay you for 2 months, plus utilities, etc. So yes, it's just 2 months. So if, let's just say your total payroll is let's say $100,000. So $10,000, well, that's not correct either. Let's say $120,000, and that's $10,000 a month. So you would be applying for $20,000 for payroll plus the other expenses like your rent and so forth.
Okay.
There is a calculation tool on our website, and it is explained. If you'd like to look at it for more information, you can. More than likely, you're going to hear from one of the team members as to your application.
Okay. Looks like we have another person who can't use their speaker. Jackie wrote, our employees are currently receiving unemployment and receiving state unemployment and the federal stimulus with $600 weekly. How is this loan going to affect those that are currently receiving those benefits? Our business is not yet ready to go back on regular basis, but funds are needed to cover all business expenses, mortgage, utilities, insurance, etc. Can we still apply for a loan? And what will interest rate be for a loan if 75% is not used for payroll?
Okay, so Quinn, you're going to have to help me remember that whole question, but we'll start. We'll start with the 75%.
Okay.
Then what's left over would turn into a term loan at 1% interest over 2 years. That answers that question. What was the other?
The other question was, how is this loan going to affect those that are currently receiving those benefits?
Well, once they're not, for one, unemployment is 26 weeks. So at some point, they're going to run out of unemployment. It's 26 weeks. But if you are making it possible for them to come back to work, they would come back to work and you would put them back on payroll.
Okay. Okay, we do have a raised hand over here from Helena.
Go ahead, please.
Helena, you have to unmute. There you go.
Sorry, I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh, no. Okay.
I'm sorry. I was
No
just
problem. Okay, we have a raised hand from Aaron.
Go ahead, please.
Hey, this is me again. Quick question. So if I'm a sole proprietor, the question I have is, how can I apply the funds to payroll if I don't have a payroll? And I did hear you say something about utilities and rent. So those are the things that I could apply them to, or like, what's the gist of that?
Okay, first of all, if you said you're a sole proprietor?
Yes, I am.
And you're a sole proprietor and you do not pay yourself a wage?
So I didn't have it. Now, mind you, I'm the same guy that said in the beginning that I did not file my 2018 or 2019. So I do not have a specific area where I do actually pay myself. It's like it goes into an account. My business account actually has the stuff that I pay my bills with. Some of the cash that I might receive might go into my personal account. So in essence, it's just kind of like a divvying up of funds without any structure. So in essence, I don't really pay myself. I kind of just get the money and then put it into the accounts and then call it a day or if it's a credit card purchase, obviously it goes straight into my business account, and that's where I pay the bills at.
Okay, well, that's a bit complicated. So what I'd like to do is ask you to send me your information, and myself or one of my team members would get back to you and see if there's a way we can help you to access some of the funding that's available.
That'd be fantastic. How would I be able to do that?
They'll send out an email at the end.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a raised hand from Keith.
Go ahead.
Keith, you have to unmute on your end too.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so this question is similar to the previous gentleman. So if someone has an S corp or sole proprietorship, instead of being on payroll, they take out a draw as their compensation. Would that cumulative draw count as the dollar amount that you calculate for the loan?
You used the word draw.
Yes.
So there is some information on our site regarding draws versus payroll. And I'm not comfortable answering that question, which is why I said I would get back to the other gentleman. I'm happy to do the same thing with you.
Sure.
Because keep in mind, this whole program was designed to work for businesses that have a payroll account. So what you guys are asking is, are there any exceptions to that? And typically there are no exceptions, but it's come up a couple of times, at least today. So if you'll allow me an opportunity to look into it and see if there's a way that we can help you, we will. But for future knowledge, the best thing to do is to set up a payroll account so that you have an opportunity to show what you're doing so you don't miss opportunities like this. And I'm hoping that this will not be a missed opportunity for you just because of the way that you have it set up. But if there's a way we can help you, we're certainly going to try.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, this next one is from Mia. Hi, Mia.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And thank you for doing this on a Sunday evening. I really appreciate your time. I successfully uploaded the documents and logged into the account, and I'm stuck where my bank is PNC and I'm getting an error and I'm unable to link my bank account. I don't know if this is something I should just wait until I hear back from you within the next 5 days, or if I should try to contact PNC tomorrow. I'm getting like an error that they are preventing me from linking the account.
It might just be a security measure. So I would suggest that you wait, allow the team to work through your application, and when they need something, they will ask you. So you will hear from them pretty quick.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, and we have a raised hand from Antoinette.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for doing the call. My question is, I filed my 2018 taxes, and then I asked my accountant to do the profit and loss statement. And what I was told was that would suffice to apply to the program PPP. But what I'm hearing today is that I would need to be on payroll, and I didn't set that process up because everything goes through my business banking.
Okay, well, it sounds like you said two different things. Your profit and loss statement can be somewhat of an exception to the Schedule C. The Schedule C is a profit and loss statement. That's all it is.
Okay. So would that be classified? I mean, it sounded like you needed something for payroll documentation.
Well, there's a payroll document. There is a calculation sheet on our website that you do need to complete. There's a document that certifies that this is the salaries that you paid during that period.
I see. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Teresa wrote in the chat box, her speaker is not working. I received an email saying an upload docs to you via email and not on the site. Is that right? Question mark.
That happens quite often. That is our team member looking at your documents and realizing maybe they can review them. They might want to discuss them with you individually. So we do ask our clients to email the documents to us.
Okay. Next raised hand is from Jackie.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Jackie, don't forget to unmute on your end. Okay, we will have to come back to Jackie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had to get a headset, and I finally found a headset that was working. I had asked a question earlier. The company I work for right now, we are not working. We are shut down right now. Myself and my coworkers, I'm the one who asked about. We are on unemployment and getting the stimulus, the $600 a week. We may not be able to be up and running and ready to go with people going back to work full time. Right now, we don't have any work for us to do. So how does this affect us if we get the loan? If if our company gets the loan, but our employees are not yet able to go in before the June, I believe it's June 21st, to recall your employees. That's what I was trying to ask.
Okay, so they're unemployed. They're getting unemployment now. They're supposed to go back to work June 30th or there shortly thereafter. And that's just the way the program was designed. If you can't go back into your place, then I'm sure there's an exception to that. I don't think
so. But either way, you can. I'm sorry. You can get the loan either way. Even if it's not 75%, it's not used for payroll. You would have to pay interest on it, but you can still get the loan and use it for mortgage and utilities to keep things up and running. So we're ready to go back and start servicing and get back into work full time.
25% is what would be turned into a loan. That's automatically it's automatically set up to where you have 25%. 75% is used for payroll. 25% is looked at as a possibility of turning it into a loan. All of it could be turned into a loan. At 1% though, over 2 years, which could be pretty hefty for you. If you're not able to prove the use of the funds, and the use of the funds, you did not use the funds for the purpose intended for the PPP program, the alternative is it will become a term loan over 2 years at 1%.
Okay. And I have another part. Someone else had asked about doing your average monthly payroll. I'm looking at the form 2483. And you were saying you take that amount and times it by 2 for the 2 months. But when you look at the form, it says you times it by 2.5.
I meant 2.5. I'm sorry. It is 2.5.
Okay. All right. So it's the 2.5.
My mistake. It is 2.5.
No. I had the form here, and I'm like, because I had figured it out. I'm like, wait a minute. I had a different total when you had said that, so I wanted to verify that.
It's 2 months multiplied by 2.5.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you have until the end of June to recall your employees, though, if you get the loan, and 75% of it will be forgiven for payroll.
All of it could be used for payroll, and therefore, all of it would be forgiven.
Okay.
That's what I want to make sure of. Okay.
Okay, we have a raised hand from Michael. Michael, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay. Okay. I guess we will have to come back to Michael. We have a raised hand from Codwo.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, this is just this is a follow-up question to some previous questions before. My business was registered in 2018 in July, right? 2018, we filed the taxes. 2019, we haven't yet. And understand, you know, you require Schedule C. That hasn't been done yet. So is that an absolute requirement in order for us to apply for this?
It is.
Okay.
The exception is you don't have to do your full-on tax returns. So we do need to compare what your expenses were for 2019 with 2018. And keep in mind, your 2019 expenses, the allowable expense cannot exceed what your expenses were in 2018. And the Schedule C you can find on irs.gov. You could probably do that yourself.
Okay. Can I get a little clarification on your last statement? You said your 2019 expenses cannot exceed the expenses of 2018.
Yeah, exactly. They can exceed, but you won't be allowed to use more than what your expenses were for 2018.
Okay. So is it possible, and I noticed, you know, you had mentioned you know, will have access to an email to send you an email. Is there, besides if you're also busy, is there anyone else who we can also discuss this? Because I think this part is kind of, I think I need to get some guidance on it, you know.
There's a team of people. The partnership PIDC is available to help you, and certainly my team is available. So my contact information you'll be provided with at the end of the webinar.
Okay. Okay. All right. Great. And as far as, do you guys, what's the level of access and availability you guys offer in terms of, you know, one-on-one consultation in order to get this done correctly?
Well, we certainly have one-on-one counseling. That's part of our mandate, if you want to call it. It's part of our structure. But I'm pretty sure there is one-on-one within the organizations in Philadelphia.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
We have a raised hand from David.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, hi. Thank you. You had said that the EIDL is open again, but their website says will provide further information on the availability of the portal to receive new applications as soon as possible. Do you have any knowledge of when that's going to be or how to get that application?
Okay, so for clarity purposes, what I was trying to say is that our portal is open for the PPP program. As soon as the funds are available, I'm comfortable saying that the SBA portal will open at the same time. They're probably not going to open their portal until they have approved the funding to be available, which we're looking at. Some people said the portal and the funding would be available tomorrow, Monday. And then the last thing I heard was that it would be available on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. and that's Eastern time.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have no more raised hands.
All right.
Constance, can you do one thing for me? You know, I'm kind of stuck on the 1% and the portion of the triple P that could possibly convert to a loan. Can you go over that, please? Use those calculations that you used, I think, yesterday and Friday, so people understand what that loan looks like.
Okay, thank you, Marla. I'm happy to do that. So basically what I decided to do was come up with a scenario. And that scenario was, I think it was a $200,000 PPP program. And let's see, at $200,000, 75% of the $200,000 needs to be used for payroll, which could possibly leave whatever dollar amount it is. So I'm getting all confused with the dollars again. It's Sunday after all. At any rate, if you are not able to show proof of 100% of the funds that you got in the PPP program, the payment that you're going to have turn into a loan is going to be, it could be $100,000, and I like using $100,000 leftover because it's easier to help understand what that payment would be. So if you have $100,000 that you cannot prove that was covered in your payroll and the other allowable expenses, you will have a loan that will be payable in 2 years at 1%. A loan payment at 1% over 2 years is about $4,113 a month, which could be a hard hit for a small business's cash flow and so forth. So keep that in mind. The program was designed for payroll and some other expenses, and as long as you use the funds for payroll and those other allowable expenses, which are detailed on our website, you will be in a position to get 100% of the funds forgiven. And I'd like to just make sure that that's the goal that most of the businesses are trying to have, making sure that the loan turns into a grant, it's totally forgivable, and there's no payback.
Constance, we have a raised hand from Kitty.
Okay.
Kitty, make sure you unmute on your end too.
Hi, how are you? I work with the Power Up Your Business program, and yeah, I want to thank you for this. We have close to 200 graduates of the program who are, some I've heard talking here. But one of the questions on the form that I saw was if a person had a former felony, that was one question, and the other one was related to student loans, whether or not they defaulted on student loans. So I wanted to know what those two items, and maybe any others that I might have missed, are how they affect this process.
Well, they affect it. If there's a felony, it's an automatic decline. If there is a default on any federal loans, such as SBA, such as student loans, such as a BA loan, a Veterans Administration loan, or an FHA. So more than likely, the way I'd like to simplify it is, if you've gotten in the past any type of federally funded loan, then you will not qualify for the PPP program. And if you have a felony, it is the exact same thing. Those things are explained on our website in detail, but it is an automatic disqualification. And keep in mind, these are not Lendistry's rules. These are the SBA's rules. And those rules are there for any type of federal funding. They weren't put into place because of the PPP program or the disaster loan program. They've always been there.
Okay. I think. Constance, do you have time for one last question?
Sure.
7:07, so I want to be mindful of people's time. Okay.
Thank you, Constance.
You're welcome. Go ahead,
so
please.
I want to remind everyone, Constance is calling from sunny Southern California. So there's a time difference. It's 7:07 here. She promised us an hour, and she has been gracious Friday, Saturday, and tonight. She has gone over every night, but she is committed to helping you, and we are so appreciative of Lendistry, its partnership with Goldman Sachs in the 10,000 Small Businesses program, and with the incredible information that Constance is giving us. Okay, so go ahead. Next question.
This is from Teresa. I'm trying to read her question. She wrote, where can we find the list of other to add to the payroll? Rent, utilities, and what?
It's on our website as well. If you look in our resource guide, you can find it there. But if you have any problems, like I said, send me a quick email. I respond pretty quick, even on Sunday, to emails. But I think that I should probably shut it down pretty soon today. But at any rate, I'll be up and running first thing in the morning, just in case you can't find it. But go to mylendistry.com, look at our resource guide, look at the corporation documents. If you go through those documents and those areas on our website, you'll find answers to your questions.
Let's take this one last question from Lydell Williams, and then we'll call it a night.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my question is, when we go on the website for the IDL, they ask for a username and a password. Where do we get those from?
You're supposed to, if you're using the site the way it was designed, it automatically will give you, it will ask you to give yourself a username and a password. And you need to do that every time you go back into the site. That's how you can check on your status.
Okay. All right. And if it didn't do it, where do we go?
You probably missed something.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so here we are again. We are so thankful. Hi, everybody. Hi. We're so thankful to Lendistry and our 10,000 small businesses partners at Goldman Sachs. But I got to tell you, Constance has been phenomenal. So let's give her a hand and a shout out. So with that, we're going to send, I think, Ms. Lancaster, I gave you my link. So your picture is coming up under my name also. So, but what we're going to do, we are going to send Constance contact information to everyone who was on this webinar tonight. And we also will send you her office number. But please, 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 both in sending emails and in calling that office number, remember there is a 3-hour time difference between where we are here and where Constance is in California. So thank you all so much. Check out PIDC's website for other information. Reinvestment Fund is also opening its website tomorrow to accept applications with the PPP program. What we just want at PIDC is to make sure that everyone who wants to apply gets the opportunity to apply. Goldman Sachs, in partnership with Lendistry, has committed $10 million to Philadelphia specifically to try to make sure companies that typically have challenges in getting traditional bank financing are able to get applications in. So we owe a special debt of gratitude to Lendistry for its commitment in wanting to work with Philadelphia, and again to Goldman Sachs and the 10,000 Small Businesses Initiative for yet again investing in the education and the growth of small businesses. So with that, thank you so much. It's 7:12. Check out our website and stay strong, stay hydrated, and we will all get through this on the other side better and stronger. God bless. See ya.
Bye.